We have now studied linear functions, quadratic functions, polynomial functions, and just recently exponential functions. We're going to put all that knowledge to use in a final course project, which is a modeling project. This project serves not only to assess our course, but also general education topics. So if you look here, I've put the outcomes, our course outcomes, and then the general education things that we are addressing, like critical thinking, technology literacy, and information literacy. The project itself, I'll have a handout here in our content folder, and it's giving you all the background you need and the details of what's expected. So the basic idea is you're going to collect some data, whether that's surveying people or going online and finding the data. You need to get at least 8 to 12 pieces of data. Now, not everything you want to compare is going to be a good idea for this project. So I'm going to tell you how we're going to make sure we all get something decent here in a few minutes. All right, so you're going to get your data. Make it something that's interesting. Make it fun, okay? Give me an introduction. Why did you choose this? And then what do you expect to find? Are you going to think that there's going to be a very consistent pattern here, a linear type function? Or is it going to be something where initially we don't change much, then all of a sudden it takes off? There's that constant percent of change in an exponential function. Or is it something where it kind of dips and then goes up? It's more quadratic. What do you expect? Do you expect there to be a strong relationship or correlation between this data? Then, this is kind of the meat of it, you're going to describe how you came up with your data, and you need to be explicit enough that I could reproduce this project, or someone that I hand the paper to could go out and reproduce the project. Then you're going to present the data. Now, I want to see the raw data, a table, I want to see a scatter plot, and I want to see a regression equation that fits that. So how are you going to get that? Well, you can hand draw it. That's perfectly acceptable. You can go to the college campus, visit the math labs, and use those computers and the TI-83s that are on them and do screenshots and capture those. You can use Excel to create this. You can use Desmos, and I have resources available to show you how to do that. All right, if you have problems, just let me know. Then you're going to do some analysis, do an application. You're going to say, okay, so here's my regression equation, and now let's predict using that, maybe a couple years down the road, or if the height was this instead of this. So use it in something that was not an actual data point in your in your original table. Then your conclusion. I don't expect a whole lengthy thing here, but I do want it to be meaningful. I want you to tell me, what did you discover in this? Were your expectations accurate? How strong was the correlation? You know, what does that correlation coefficient even mean? If you were going to redo this, what might you change to make it maybe a better, stronger, more correlated information? Then, is there a limitation? Is this really only going to be good maybe for the next few years because of XYZ? I don't know. But think about, is there any limit to how useful this model might be? Okay, so I mentioned that there are resources. So one of them is I'm telling you how I'm going to grade each part of this, how many points each section is worth. So please check that out. And then there's this resource sheet, and I'm explaining how you get those scatter plots, how you can use Desmos or even GeoGebra and Excel, and just some additional background information. And if you're not sure what your topic's going to be, you just really can't think of something, I've given you a few ideas here where you can go online and find a whole host of information, some of which you might find interesting for a project here. All right. Last thing is I put together a regression video playlist. Now we've covered this before in other sections, but I went ahead and I put all of those into just one long list, and you can search through that and find something if you need to review. The last bit, to make sure that we're all on the same page here, that we're going to do well, I've created a little modeling project research topic test. So I'm giving you again some examples of what might work. I'm giving you some additional sources you might think about. And then your job is to take this 2-question test. First question is, what is your topic? What are you comparing to what? And then the second question is going to be, how are you going to collect that data? Are you going to be doing surveys, family and friends, or fellow students. Are you going to go online? If you're going to go online, make sure you give me the exact URL where you are finding your data. So you're going to have to do a little work ahead of time. The URL has to be the actual data that you're using. And one other thing, if it's a site that already has a model on it and does all of our project for us, I'm going to tell you that's not acceptable. All right, so I would like this done about a week before our deadline for the project so I can provide feedback to you. Now, it's got points associated with it, but if you do your project well, these points really aren't going to matter. It's just to give you an idea, am I on track or not, so that you can do the best you can. Let me know if you have any questions about this project, and good luck.